marks more in second test than in the first. So just let's first focus on this line, then we will go ahead. So the meaning of this line is that in let us say in the first test he had scored 35 marks out of a total of 50. Then in the second test, what has happened is he has scored 10 marks more, so that he has scored 45 marks now. So this is the meaning of the first line. Now let's go to the second line. 5 times the score of the second test is same as square of the score in the first test. Now again, this is a line which will confuse a lot of students. So we'll try to understand this as much as we can. So let's go this part by part. 5 times the score of the second test is same as square of the score in the first test. Now, either we have to assume the second test to be x, or we have to assume that the first test is x. But let's look at the last line. Find his score in the first test. So usually, whatever is the last line, we can assume that to be x, and then start doing the question. So find his score in the first test. So I'll assume that this score in the first test is x. So I'll assume that the score in the first test is x. So because score in the second test is 10 times more than the score in the first test, so therefore in second test the score would be x plus 5. So what are the lines I have used till now? I have used this line, find a score in the first test. I assume that to be x. Then I have used this line, Suyash scored 10 marks more in the second test than in the first. So this would be, I'm sorry, this would be 10. I'm sorry, this would be 10. This would be 10. So in the first test, we assume that he has scored x, and from line number 1, we came to understand that in the second, he has scored x plus 10 marks. Okay. And now let's look at the second line. 5 times the score of the second test. Okay. So I'll just do simple translation of this. I'll just do simple translation. So 5 times the score of the second test. So 5 times the score of the second test is the same. So this will be is equal to the square of the score in the first test. I hope this is clear. So what in the second line, what we understand is that if we take 5 times the score in the second test, that will be equal to the square of the score in the first test. So basically, whenever you find difficulty, try to be, try to translate it as closely as possible in terms of maths. So for example, we translate in, let us, I have to translate from English to Hindi. So for example, a line like, uh, I like to go to movies. So for example, if this is a line in English and I have to translate this into Hindi, and let's assume that either my Hindi or English or both are weak. So, word by word, how will I try to translate? So, I matlab main, like matlab, uh, like matlab chahana, chahana, to go to, jana, to movies, movies matlab picture dekhna, picture, picture dekhna. So, once I have to translate into Hindi, I'll read it like मैं चाहता हूँ जाना picture देखना. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is कि similarly whenever there is a word problem, you should literally try to translate it into maths. So just to explain it again, 5 times the score of the second test. So 5 times the score in the second test is x plus 10, is the same as square of score in the first test, square. So this is the square. So now this will be the quadratic equation. I just have to solve this, and it's a simple quadratic equation. Now, say 80% of the job is done. We just have to solve this. So this is the solution. So I have first test I assumed to be x, second was x plus 10. This is the translation I have done. Now I just have to open the bracket. So 5x plus 50 is equal to x square. So x square minus 5x minus 50 is equal to 0. So I'll be using splitting the middle term. That is the easiest, and most of the word problems splitting the middle term works. So this will be minus 10x plus 5x minus 50 is equal to 0, and when I do this, I get two answers, x is equal to 10 and x is equal to minus 5. So now what is my x? X is my marks. Now can the marks be negative? No, marks can't be negative. So I'll have to mention here that ignoring x is equal to minus 5, you have to give the reason because marks can't be negative. So therefore the marks are x is equal to 10. So he has scored 10 marks in the first test. He has scored 10 marks in the first test, and therefore 20 in the second. And now, is it satisfying the condition that was given in the question? So five times the second, 5 times the second is equal to square of first. Is it satisfying? Of course it is satisfying. So our answer is correct. X is equal to 10. So what are they asking? Find a score in the first test. So this will be 10. I hope this is making sense. So he scored 10 marks in the first test. And now let's go to the next question. So next questions, they would be a bit difficult. There would be production cost, number of pots. There will be upstream, downstream. Students find this difficult. There will be this work question again, a bit of difficult. This is a bit difficult. So these next 10 questions would be a bit difficult, but we'll try to do our best. So let's continue.